Got all my bits together. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Great to be with you again this morning. So, we're going to be talking about why take action. So why should we take action? You know, that is the kind of key question for us for the next hour. But I just wondered whether there were any kind of questions, sort of thoughts that bubbled up as you went to bed last night, or for those of you who took the dip this morning, and I know at least half of you did that. Yeah, right? Took the dip or a run this morning, you know, so what are the key questions? But there is one key question that as I went round the tables last night, that kept coming up, is how old are you, Jackie? That was the key question. And you know what? You know, when I go to America, Americans, they're like, how old are you, Jackie? When I go to Sweden, they're a bit more bit shy. You know, they don't ask that question, but many of you were very bold and just said, how old are you, Jackie? But I'm as old as you are. So it's fantastic that, you know, people were kind of, you know, using those questions that came up in the conversation that Rune and I were having yesterday. So I just wondered, you know, what thoughts, what are the themes, what are the clues about why take action based on the conversation that Rune and I had last night. You know, what were your thoughts? Any questions, or just points, comments? Hello. Could we have a mic? What number? Number 3. So we had a question over here, or a thought.
Yes, my name is Bodil. Is it on?
Is it on? Hello? I think this... Hello? No. This is number 1. Is it on?
Otherwise, I'll just speak up.
Yes,
Right?
okay.
Yeah. My name is Bodil. I'm from the nurses interested in complementary and alternative therapies. And we've started to look at integrative nursing, which has 6 main headings. One of them is actually to nurse the nurse.
Ah.
And I was thinking that with these whistleblower examples you gave us, which of course are awful for the patient, but the nurse doing these awful things, there's something wrong there that has to be taken action, which the leadership in the places we're talking about should have recognized this a long time ago, because it's also a sad story for those who do these awful things, and we have to be much more aware and help each other as nurses and see to that this doesn't happen before it happens.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point, because nobody kind of thought about my needs after that happened, and you know, I certainly felt as traumatized myself afterwards. So, and that took me a long time to get over. Oh, okay, great. So any other thoughts or, you know, sort of clues as to why we should take action, or what is going to help you to take action? Any other thoughts? What's going to help you to take action? Just, you know, what were some of the things that we talked about yesterday that would help us to move us to action? There was a lot of clues in the kind of conversation yesterday. Or I just kind of felt that you as a group are kind of ready to move into action. You know, you're at that point where you're ready. So what is causing you to feel that way? Mm. Mm. We have time to think. Any thoughts? Okay.
Jeg vil meget gerne sige det på dansk, så kan jeg oversætte eller andre, hvis det er, man har foretrækket det, som vi sagde i går. Også hvis det er derfor, jeg er. I was just saying that I would be happy to translate.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fine. Yes, I know sometimes people don't feel, that your English is far better than my Danish, put it that way. So please don't be shy. This is a conversation that we need to have today, rather than me just standing here and talking. So I hope that we can have a dialogue. So why take action? Why not take action? Because if you don't take action, somebody else is going to take action for you. Somebody else is going to do it. Might not be the right thing. But, action is really important. And sometimes we have to take action that are little steps, small steps to move us to one place to another. But as this slide says, don't be afraid to take a big step if one is needed, because you can't cross, a chasm or a divide in the way in the slide is showing in 2 small steps. Sometimes you have to take a big leap. You have to take a big leap. And I think that is what we are looking for. That's what you're ready for. That's what is needed at a time like this, that we need to take a big leap. And sometimes it's a leap of faith. Sometimes it might be a calculated leap, but nevertheless, we need to take a leap. We need to speak out. We need to do something. We need to take action. So what are some of the emotions that inhibit action and other emotions? Because we've been talking a lot about our emotions. I talked when Rune asked me, questions last night when we had our discussion. We talked a lot about emotions and how we felt, whether, it was fear or, excitement or anticipation or whatever. So some emotions inhibit action, but other emotions facilitate action. So what are the emotions that inhibit and what facilitate? So I need your response now. Yeah, shyness. Okay. Yes.
Maybe afraid to speak up.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
If you feel isolated with the opinion that you have, it doesn't have to be true. We can't do it. If you feel isolated in your opinion, it's not definitely because you know you have a different opinion, but if you're not spoken around to see to confirm if others seem the same as you do, that can be, I think, one of the reasons.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that is definitely.
Yeah, and also if you in a group you are isolated and you think this is actually a very good course, but I don't think I'll get any support from them. Should it then continue or shouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very, very good point. Excellent. We shall come on to that one. Any other emotions that inhibit or stop us from taking action or facilitate us to take action? What are the emotions? There's another one over here. Good exercise.
I think if your ground values are damaged or threatened in the way you think nursing, and it hurts in your stomach, then you also have to take action. If the system or the leadership or anything is making a change so that your values are intimidated, I think that's also a course to action.
And you know that in the research tells us that the number one reason why senior executives usually leave their job is because their values have been compromised. That is what the number one reason. That especially senior executives rather than grassroots staff, but senior executives, they get to the point where the organization's values and their values do not align. I can see lots of people nodding their heads. Absolutely. It's certainly been, people don't leave the passion. They leave, a boss or an organization that doesn't meet with their values. So I think that's a really important point. Any other emotion? Think of emotions that inhibit. Any others or spur us to action? Another two over here.
I think when you're proud of the nursing, then that's a big motivation.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm sitting here is because I'm a nurse and I'm just happy to be a nurse, and I think I have emotions when feelings for the patients when I have the feeling that I do the best for the patient and I can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's giving me the drive.
Yes,
Sometimes
to
I
take
have
action.
Experience that make a difference for the patient.
Excellent. Great. So let's just have a look at some of the emotions that inhibit and what emotion helps us to overcome the inhibiting emotion. So the first one, and some of these didn't come up, but the first one is inertia. And what overcomes inertia is creating a sense of urgency. Because there's nothing worse than saying we need to do something, but we are just inactive in terms of that. So I'm going to put all of these on, and then we're going to go through each one. So nobody mentioned anger. I was really angry, when what happened to me. And anger can be both. It can inhibit and it can take you to action as well. It's the one that can facilitate or can inhibit. Hope, I talk a lot about hope. My organization that I now run myself is called In Hope of People. Hope for me is really important because we all need hope. We need hope as nurses, we need hope as workers, our patients need hope. But hope is the thing that overcomes fear, and many of us are kind of working in fear. And solidarity, someone mentioned solidarity or isolation, and what overcomes isolation is when we work together. And you also mentioned making a difference, because sometimes we doubt ourselves as to whether we can do that. So let's just take each one. Yesterday, we talked about checking out. What does really checking out mean for you? Because this is like inertia. It's like I'm disengaged. Who's kind of had an experience for themselves, or they see their staff, whether whoever they might be, nurses or doctors, who feel that inertia. What is it that's happening to you at that time?
You're losing your goal.
Yes, you're losing your goal. Yeah. You can't see your goal anymore, absolutely. Anybody else? Because this is real. This is where we lose productivity. We lose engagement. People feel that, what is the point? Why am I getting up out of bed every morning to do what I do? If we are at this point, it's a warning sign that something needs to change. People are not taking action when they feel inertia. So bringing a sense of urgency to what you're doing is really important. Now, the urgency is not about, running around, doing lots of things, and creating a crisis because that makes us feel, a sense of urgency. This sense of urgency is about the fire in your belly. It's the urgency that helps you to connect what's going on in your heart and your head and your hands to create action. So that's the first one. The next one is apathy. We said anger overcomes apathy. Now, does anybody kind of want to describe what this feeling is here that is described in this animation? What is it that's going on here?
Inclusion.
Yeah, not feeling included.
Or you have the, if you're standing outside, you're not in the group. If you're standing outside, you're not in the group, and if you go into the group, you make agreement with the feelings and the meanings and so on. It's really a bad thing, I think, because you get a group.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Ruan if he could describe what what he's seeing here in terms of apathy and what that slide might kind of represent. Oh, you've got another one, and then Ruan, I'll come back to you.
I see a group of people doing nothing and maybe taking someone in who might want to do something but has given up. So she joins the group of apathy.
Yes, absolutely. Do you want to build on that, Ruan? It's not a test.
It's not a test.
Just whatever you see.
I don't see a lot of action in that group, and I don't see a lot of interaction in the blue group. And somebody standing outside is. I'm not actually too sure how to interpret it.
Yeah.
But, maybe it's somebody who steps inside of a circle where people are pretty passive, instead of actually having the courage to get people outgoing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. Passive is definitely one of the key words, and definitely what you were saying. But what I'm trying to describe here is that the person who is outside of the group has their individuality, is very curious, comes to an organization, comes to work every day with that curiosity, with wanting to be different, but yet they feel they have to just be part of the system. That is what I'm really trying to get here. This apathy is like you become cynical. It's like, I can't beat them, so I might as well just join them. How many of our young grassroots staff start full of passion, they have lots of ideas, and they just have to become blue like everybody else. You all just have to become the same, because we all need to think the same, we all need to be the same, because you can't fight the system. The system is too blue. It's full of blue. So you might as well just become blue. And the NHS, I usually have the NHS logo on this slide, because the NHS logo is blue. And so we all just become like robots. We lose our passion, the ideas that we have. We don't feel that they're going to be heard. And so let's just join. Let's just be apathetic. Because when there's apathy, I can just be part of the crowd. Nobody's going to see me. I can keep my head low. I just do what I need to do. I come to work and I work to rule. Do you have that here? You work to rule. I'm only going to do what's in my job description. I'm not going to go the extra mile for my patients. Why should I? Why should I? So this is apathy. This is real. This is what you're having to deal with every day. And this loses productivity, but not only in terms of a productivity, it loses the reason why we do what we do. Who wants to come to work and feel like that? I don't. You wanted to raise a point.
I just thought about it was
the same when you are newly educated and full
Exactly.
of ideas,
Yes.
and you get into a group who are just as they are, and you
Yes.
become as them, and it
Exactly.
goes very quickly.
That-
Because you need
that
to,
is
you
the
need to
key point.
be like the others.
Yes, that is such a key point. This happens really quickly. I was talking to one of our grassroots staff after we did Change Day, and she said, Jackie, she was a young doctor, and she said, Jackie, you know, when I came to the service, she says, I saw so many things that, you know, ideas that I had that could change, that we could implement, and they were just simple, easy things. And she said, within 6 months, I was feeling like this. I was feeling apathy. I was feeling my voice is not going to be heard. This is really real. This is a sick syndrome in our service. It really is a sick syndrome. But we don't measure this. We don't measure it because we've got lots of things to do and we're so busy doing what we need to do. But I think this one is really real. So to overcome apathy, sometimes we need to feel angry. We need to think about what is intolerable to wake us up in terms of helping us to move into action. So stepping out of our comfort zone, fear is the next one that, and I talked about hope. So, you know, when you're in your comfort zone, how do you feel? You know, where are you when you're in your comfort zone? What are the emotions that you feel when you're in your comfort zone? Yeah, relaxation. It's fantastic. I'm basking out in the sun, absolutely. What else do you feel when you're in your comfort zone? What do you feel? What is the feeling that you have? Safe, absolutely. What else? No frustration. I'm cool. I'm doing what I always do every day. You know, this is cool. I just come in, I just press the button, I just write my notes up, I just do whatever I need to do because I'm in my zone, I'm in my lane. Don't tell me anything else because that's all I want to know because I'm in my zone and I look good. I look good. I look good because I'm in my comfort zone.
But also a bit bored.
Bored,
Bored.
absolutely.
Wow.
Yes, bored, absolutely. Anything else?
It means no development.
Yes, no development. Yeah, because I'm in my comfort zone. I know it all. Anything else? So what happens when you move out of your comfort zone? What are the feelings then? Go on, describe. Yeah. Yeah, bit of anxiety.
More alert and you notice more what's happening around you because you feel more insecure in that way that you have to be observant of all things around you.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, sometimes, so that's when you kind of get in, when you're really into the kind of out of your comfort zone, into a zone where, you know, you've stepped into the unknown where there may be new possibilities. But as you step into that kind of zone, there is this kind of panic zone that you enter because you're out of your comfort zone. And you know, what's stopping you from moving out of your comfort zone is fear. But actually, when you get into that kind of next paradigm, there's a lot of exciting stuff that's there, isn't there? And that's where that's where you're going right now. You know, you're going out of your comfort zone into, you know, and maybe unknown, or maybe some people have a very clear idea of where, you know, the magic is going to happen. And let's hope that there's some magic that happens here before you leave this place. Because that's when new paradigms are made. When we shift out of our comfort zone, and we all have our comfort zones. You know, I actually feel quite comfortable being here, up here. But for some people, it might feel an absolute panic. You know? So your comfort zone is not other people's comfort zones. And we have to understand what each other's comfort zones are and what your own comfort zone is. But the most important thing is that you need to step out of it. You need to step out of your comfort zone.
I would like to say that fear can also lead to action. Because
Oh, yeah.
sometimes you
Yes.
sometimes if you fear for the patient, it leads you to action.
Absolutely. No, fear is it helps you, a facilitator.
Yes.
Absolutely. Fear is a facilitator. But the fear can stop you from moving out of your comfort zone. But if you hold on to that fear and, look at fear as an inhibitor, as a facilitator rather than an inhibitor, because we all experience fear. And I think hope overcomes fear. So you're absolutely right. So this one is about isolation. This is the point that was made over here. So be open, what's happening here, in this cartoon. Very nice. For those of you that didn't hear, she said Donald Trump. So this lady here is really pleased with what she's created. She's created this lady over here. I'm pleased with what I've created. She's built a wall. How many of us build walls around us to shut everything out because I'm in my comfort zone, I'm in my zone, and I'm pleased with what I've created because this is my little empire. This is my ward, this is my department, this is my whatever, organization even. But we have to be open to working with other people because we often say, it's not our fault, it's the other department's fault, it's somebody else's fault. But it's actually, we have to work together. One of the key things about Change Day is that, we cannot move forward on our own. We may have the best passion, we may be an excited person, we may have lots of energy, we may have a vision, we may have everything, but if we don't work together, we're not going anywhere. We absolutely are not going anywhere. So isolation, solidarity, working together, coming together, overcomes isolation.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I think sometimes you need someone to push your button to go out of your comfort zone. Go for it.
Yes.
Do something.
Absolutely.
But it helps people to go beyond the comfort zone. If someone else go and say, you can do it.
Absolutely. And we need to encourage each other to do that as well. And to be supportive, sometimes to coach each other, to help each other, sometimes hold each other's hand, do it together. But I think if you're doing it together, it kind of loses that sense of, I'm having to do it on my own, But I think you're right, sometimes we need a push from somebody else. So I think that's one of our roles here today, is that we need to push each other. Yeah? Do we need to push each other? We do, absolutely. And I had another slide here. I think it might have been on the other slide that the second lot of slides, but self-doubt. So making a difference overcomes self-doubt. And this self-doubt can be based on, let me just see if that's, no, it's not there. So can I really make a difference? Is it up to me? So there's two things going on here. So that self-doubt is, can I, Jackie Lynton, make a difference? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is, will my organization allow me to make a difference? And those are the two tensions that are being created, that are in us, when it comes to self-doubt. Can I make a difference? Can I do it? Or will my organization do it? And which one do you think is more prevalent for you? There's no right and wrong answer, by the way. You know, which one is more prevalent, or which one do you see more in your organization or in your wherever you work?
I think it depends on what action needs to be taken.
Okay.
What the situation is. Sometimes it needs to be coming from the organizations, and sometimes you can do it on your own.
Yes.
It's enough that you speak up as a single person.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on what.
Yeah, exactly.
What's on stake.
Yes.
What's on the line.
So there's more than one thing going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's self-doubt,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's the organisation, but sometimes it depends on what the situation is.
How serious is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I like that. I think but it's a dynamic that's going on, you know, enable to feel that you have the permission to do it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to give yourself the permission to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a feeling that the organisation needs to allow you to have that position, but actually sometimes it's just you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just you. Yeah. But as we say, we've got to move from me to working with we. That is the key message here. We have to move from me to we. Because when we are challenged and we cannot make we cannot do it on our own, we're challenged to look at ourselves. But we have to move from me to we. Do you want to see that again? That's the key message. We need to move and we need to work together. So how are you, as a group of fantastically energized people? I could feel the energy in the room yesterday. And I could feel the energy as I came in again this morning, that you're looking for change, you want to make a difference. How are you going to push forward? What is the first action that you are going to take? What are you going to do in terms of speaking out? What are you going to do to stand up to being a nurse, for being the best nurse that you can be? How are you going to be the best you is the question. And how are you going to do that together? I'm really looking forward. I'm really excited about that. Because you know what? We've all got superpowers. So Ruan, we've been talking about, superpowers, and my superpower is being a connector. You know, if I'd have learned that a long time ago, I would have, been a better, a better kind of, worker in my organization. But we've all got superpowers. And a superpower is really just something that a strength, or a gift, or even a spiritual gift, if you want to look at it in that way. We all have them. So Ruan, just give us some thoughts about kind of superpowers.
Yeah, basically I think we put it on the dialogue paper that you have on your tables yesterday also, for you to consider what is the kind of, oftentimes we heard the language of resources.
Yes.
And it's kind of like lame, and you don't really feel the energy behind it. So I think basically trying to look into yourselves introspectively and get a sense of what is it actually that I'm able to achieve, and what have I achieved through what kind of means is a really important facet of actually realizing the kind of potentials we have to reach out and to get stuff done together with others, and basically to accept that our little share of our steps in the world, if we can combine them with others, we can really make something extraordinary in our teams, basically.
Fantastic. And sometimes you were telling me yesterday that organizations have superpowers as well. So, or groups can have a superpower. So as individuals, we may have a superpower, but as a group, there may be a superpower within the whole group in terms of a movement. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, basically, I think we have for too many years we have been maybe sitting down and writing notes.
A bit blue.
Bit blue and doing papers for each other and not growing the seeds or sowing the seeds for that kind of emotional connection with what it is that we actually share. So basically trying to get into that terrain is what I think you helped us with yesterday.
Yeah, great.
That can unleash some other energies.
Yes. So I'd just like you to talk to the person next to you and just describe what your superpower is. You've got 1 minute, so 30 seconds each. Just what's your superpower? It could be listening, it could be fantastic at doing a procedure, it can be anything. What's your superpower? Okay. I think those slides were the first one.
Muted.
no.
Yeah. Is that the one? Has that got my daughter on it?
Yeah, I should share to make sure.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one. So yeah. Okay. Okay, so would anybody like to share what their superpower is? Now, don't be shy. Don't be shy. A superpower is a superpower, you know, it's a strength. So could I just hear, you know, what some of your superpowers are?
I ask questions all the time.
Great.
And I'm very anti.
Great superpower.
So
I want you on my team. Fantastic. She asks questions all the time. That's great. So, anybody else? We have another one over here.
Building relations and see the potential in everybody else.
That is a great superpower. Absolutely needed for the work to take action. You need to be able to build alliances. Absolutely. Fantastic.
We talked about that we have a big knowledge about nursing and so on, that it gives you a superpower.
Yeah, you've got a big brain? I love it. Yeah, you've got a lot of knowledge to share. You know, we're not handmaidens. Hello? We're not handmaidens.
It's not only knowledge, it's also be aware of where your knowledge is and where it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like a Duracell rabbit.
Oh,
once I get started, I don't stop. I don't need breaks. I just until I get there.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes. We both had the experience of being very good listening, empathy, and making relations. But we thought that's not very powerful in itself.
It is!
Yeah, but then we connected it to wanting to connect to our anger, which we feel. So when we feel anger caused by, we feel this empathy for people thinking this is not good enough, and we feel anger, then it gets more power.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Exactly. I like that. We'll come back to that. So just on that point, because I think that was a really well made point, you know, the connecting the superpower with what you're good at, your strength, with the values that we talked about, with the emotions, connecting those. So if we just go back, so connecting to other people's and emotions help us to be inspired to take action. But I think that's the point that you were making. So when we look at head, heart and hands, the head is all about the kind of information, the intellectual buy-in, and some of us stay at that point. Everything is logical. It's, you know, if I can't explain it, if it's not evidence-based, I don't want to know. That drives me completely mad. It does. Does that drive anybody else mad? It drives me mad. It's the doctors. I wasn't going to say that. She said it. She said it. Yes, intellectual buy-in. We need it. This is not an and. This is not an, you know, either or. It's an and. You need all of them. So intellectual buy-in. We are often, and I'm going to say it myself, as nurses, sometimes we move straight to action. We move straight to action, and when we think of the cycle of change, I haven't got it here, but the cycle of change, some people are still in pre-contemplation. about change. Some people are still planning for change, but what we love to do is to move straight to action. And that is the kind of the behavioral efforts, the hands, get in, let's get our, Miss Duracell over there, let's, just get into action. But there is a big part that we miss, which is the heart, the emotional buy-in. My heart was supposed to be beating, but it's not beating. But, the amount, and we need all three of those, head, heart, and hands, to work really effectively. Because when the purpose of, the set of emotions, the inhibitors and the facilitators, is that our values, when we connect them to our emotions, so our values and beliefs, when we connect them to our emotions, it helps us to take action. So it's not just that we are strong, we have strong values. We have to connect those values to our emotions to help us to create action. Are you with me on that? Yeah, and I think that's the point that this lady was making, because so we feel passionate about what we're doing, but unless we use the anger or the whatever it is to move us to that next point, it doesn't spur us on to take action. So I just wanted to go back to that. So I want you to think of a social movement or something that you have been involved with that's really got you excited and inspired, got the fire in the belly. What's the ilshe? Yeah, the fire in the belly. So everybody gets what I mean when I say the fire in the belly. So what made you join that movement? So, this could have been a movement when you were, a younger person. You could have joined a revolution. You could have, so if you can't think of a movement that you're excited about, that you joined or you were a part of, just maybe a change that you were involved with where you were really excited. So you've got 1 minute just to talk to maybe another person on your table about what made you join, what made you want to be a part of it. You've got 1 minute. Thank you. Just another 30 seconds. Just another 30 seconds. Okay. Okay, could... Hello. Hi. So what made you want to join that movement, that cause, that change? Could I ask this table at the back here, just give me, you know, what made you want to join a cause? Anybody, you know, what spurred you on? What made you want to take action?
Was it this table?
Yeah, this table. Anybody on this table. You've been voluntold.
I just put in some gum, so sorry. So I'm the president of the nursing students in Denmark.
Mm.
I think, why did I start, well, you know, join the movement towards creating better education for the nursing students? I think it was just because, I don't know, I have a fire in my belly. I don't know. I'm a doer, so I guess that's just.
But you were excited about it? Did anybody, you know, put your arm up your back to do it?
No, I did it out of free will. I think I did it because I cared about, or because I still care, about how my fellow nursing students experience their clinical periods. I think that's where there's improvement to be made. So I think that's what creates the fire in my belly to keep going.
Oh, thank you. Can somebody just give her a round of applause? I really like that. I think that's fantastic. You know, the words that stuck out for me there was that she really cared. She really cared about it, and I really applaud you for that. Anybody else, in terms of what made you join the movement or the change, or how did you feel? One more. Yeah, great.
I joined the in our hospital about the IT that we're using, and I did it because I thought I could do it, make a difference. That's how I wanted to. How did I want to see it? How should I think it should work?
Yeah.
What is the best? How's the best working flow so it works for everyone?
Fantastic. Great. That's great. I mean, even over IT, you were really excited. I like that. So I didn't hear anybody say, I was really excited about the key performance indicators because they were so irresistible. I didn't hear anybody, was there anybody in their discussions that said they joined that movement or the cause because of that? It's not to say that that is a wrong thing, but what I did hear people say is that they cared and they had a dream. They wanted it to be the best IT system. They joined the Nurses Union because they cared and they wanted to have the best education for nurses. And this is, you know, the fire in the belly is about what gets us up every morning and why we do what we do. And it's a bit like that slide with the blue people on it. When your fire goes out, what happens? What happens when your fire goes out?
You don't want to work.
Yeah. You get apathy. You get inertia. You get disengaged, depressed even. Absolutely. And there's many people in our organizations who are depressed. They want change, but they don't know how to create change. Absolutely. So I think that's a real point. So I want you to think about taking action now. Not waiting for action, not waiting for somebody else, not waiting for your next door neighbor, but to take action now. And so think like an activist is just some things that will help us to think about how to take action. Having a contrarian mind. All a contrarian mind is somebody who is not like those blue people, you know, is not going with popular opinion. Now, popular opinion might be a good thing. By the way, you can have all of these slides, by the way. Yeah, exactly. Put it down and let's engage. So a contrarian mind. You know, what do we do with people who have contrarian minds?
Sometimes they're quite irritating.
Yeah. or we see them as irritating, or we call them troublemakers. And sometimes people might be a bit of a troublemaker, but sometimes people are just grappling with, I am so frustrated, I want to see change and I'm not seeing change. So we need to embrace a contrarian mind. And we need to have contrarian minds as well to be able to see something different. We need to have compassion. You know, in the NHS, we have a big drive for compassion because we feel that nursing has lost compassion. So I'm not going to say too much more about that. We have to be courageous. We have to have a courageous heart. If we're going to step out of our comfort zone, it takes courage. We need to have courage. We need to have a sense of community, working together, as we've said. We need to have power with, not power over, because hierarchy does not create change. So we need hierarchy. I'm not dismissing hierarchy. We need hierarchy. But it's not about power over. It's about power with and working with people. We don't just value what we can plan for. You know, all of the, anybody who does MBTI, you know, Myers-Briggs, personality, you know, I'm an ENTJ. You know, I love plans. You know, I'm very open and creative as well. But we can't just work towards what we can plan for. We have to allow space for creativity, and allowing that to happen means that we have to let go. We have to let go and wait for what is waiting to be born, because we don't know what that is. We need to start with what is intolerable. As we said yesterday, don't tolerate the intolerable. And sometimes we have to find what is intolerable. It could even be the IT system is really getting on my nerves. That is intolerable to you. That's okay. It doesn't have to be that, you know, X amount of patients are dying of cancer. It could be that the IT system is just irritating me. So find what's intolerable. That's how Change Day started. Our young doctors just said, we're fed up of the red tape. So find what's intolerable and ask what you are fighting for. What are you fighting for? Why are you here? And we're going to come back to those two questions right at the end. And, you know, I would say that, you know, for those of you who are leading teams, if you lead like your teams are volunteers, you will lead them in a completely different way. Because volunteers come because they really want to be there. They come for a cause. They don't just sign up to something because, oh, I haven't got anything else to do. They're signed up because for a cause. And if we were to treat people like volunteers, we would treat our staff very differently. And these are all volunteers who were involved in Change Day. None of these are managers here. They're students, they're you know, young doctors, they're cleaners, they're frontline members of staff. Nobody here has formal authority, formal power, positional power. They're all volunteers. And I just want to show you a very short video, 3 minutes, on what we did for Change Day, when we were able to bring our head and our hearts and our hands together. Thank you.
The NHS is undergoing a huge period of transformation.
At the moment in the NHS, we have a generation of people who have seen how the NHS has worked well, but also seen how it's not worked always for patient benefit.
So this is an opportunity for people to really get together and think about the changes they want to make, and quite often they're not allowed to make.
We're the people that had the initial Twitter conversation and then phone call that led to the establishment of NHS Change Day. And it's kind of led to this.
Change Day is about grassroots movement that's engaging people to make change happen at a local level. Using their intrinsic motivation to change in terms of choosing a pledge or something that they want to create to make change happen and putting that into action.
I pledge to make all my patients feel welcome.
My pledge is to start every meeting with a patient story.
My pledge is to improve my patient's journey from the ward to the operating department.
My pledge is to read a story to one of the children.
I pledge to deliver the best care possible and to make the patient at the center of all my activities.
We've gone on a fantastic journey in an amazingly short period of time.
We're connecting our workforce back to their own values and the reasons why they came into healthcare. 98% of the activity is voluntary.
Absolutely.
People are doing it, like you say, because they want to, not because they have to.
A people-led, inspiring and energetic movement
encourages each of us to believe that we can make a difference in health.
Improve every day. Change Day Sweden.
Change Day has inspired us to work together.
Connect healthcare professionals.
Try Change Day in Saskatchewan.
Share the responsibility of patient safety.
I can make a difference.
Share, inspire.
Cerner completely supports the NHS Change Day initiative.
What's the day called again?
Never underestimate what a small group of I think the YouTube thing is still running. You know, and there's more than a small.
I think the NHS is undergoing a huge period of transformation, as with everyone, I'm sure.
There's more than a small. There's more than a small group of people, so we're expecting that there are fantastic things that can happen. As a result, and that was just based on people pledging to make a difference. We got over 800,000 pledges of people wanting to do something just based on their own motivation for change. So I just want to take you through a few of the pledges and the types of things that people pledge. So you would expect that my pledge was going to be, I'm not going to let hierarchy get in the way of patient care. That was my pledge. And I worked with the hierarchy at a very early stage to say this is a grassroots movement, it belongs to the grassroots, and to respect that. This was a nurse who set up a fun day based on some patients. Her patients were children. They all had stomas. This little boy was really frustrated because he couldn't find anybody else who had a stoma bag like he did. So when he went to school, he was very frustrated. And so she set up a fun day, or the two of them set up a fun day for all the patients. That day he was really happy because all the patients in the clinic had a stoma. And as a result of that, the parents set up a support group. This was a fantastic second-year student nurse. She was a second-year student nurse. She organised the whole of her student body to a ward simulation. So the nurses got into their pajamas and they did a simulation. And I went to meet with them. The learning that they got out of that was absolutely fantastic. And that changed the university's curriculum. Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. This was a healthcare assistant. she decided that all she needed to do was to smile. She was going to smile. And that led to the whole, when one department heard about this smiling thing, they said, well, we're not going to let that department get over us. And they decided that they were going to do it. But then they decided then as a whole organisation to have Feedback Wednesday, which was the day when they were going to get feedback from all of their patients. It started with a smile. 3,500 people pledged to smile. This is a patient champion. Worked with his organisation. They had a whistleblowing policy that had never been used for 5 years. They set up a guardian service. It went to the board. Within 1 year, they had a 30% shift in their staff survey to say that staff felt safe enough to bring forward their concerns. Absolutely fantastic. The guardian service is still going. You see, small actions with lots of people makes big change. Now, does anybody recognise this person? She looks a little bit like me, doesn't she? This is my daughter. She came to work with us on Change Day. She's a photographer and she makes films. So she made many of our films like the ones that you've just seen. But as she was looking through the camera at people just like you, she became very emotional. And after 6 months, she said, Mom, I want to give up what I'm doing and I want to become a nurse. Because she was seeing all the fantastic things that you do every single day. And she's actually working in a hospital now, but actually she's changed her mind. She wants to be an OT. But there are searching questions that we need to ask ourselves. What is my purpose? What am I fighting for? What are the things that yearns greater creativity? How can I be an authentic leader? What's my story? And I know you've done lots of work on what's your story. Because if you don't take action now, well, when are you going to do that? You see, it reconnected my values when I was working with Change Day. It reconnected my values with a sense of greater purpose. That's me and Blanche. And I just want to ask the person that I spoke to yesterday. I was at the table. I can't see her. She had a story about... Yes! We've only got like 2 minutes left, so I'm going to ask you to do it literally in like 45 seconds. If you could just... Sorry? You can, whatever I don't mind. Yeah, whatever. But you literally is, very, very short, because we've literally got 2 minutes.
I try.
Yeah.
I've been in that ward for quite some years, and a young woman, about 32, was admitted to the ward I worked. And she's been through lots of wards in different hospitals, and she came up and was not able to do much. And her husband came, and she needed to go to the toilet. And a colleague of mine and I came down, and she had I don't know the English word, catheter. Yeah. And we said, we have to pull that out, and she has to train to go to a toilet on the normal way. And the light she had in her eyes, she couldn't speak at that time. Mm. And the way she looked at me and my colleague made the whole difference, because then we had that connection and the relationship that developed with her through the next month of her admission into our ward. Every Christmas, she wanted to have us, that Liz, my colleague, and I had a reward or something, I don't know if the right word, but she wrote a very special letter to us for all the care she has been having and the relationship between Liz, her, and I. Mm. And she bought a little present for us with some Christmas ornaments, I think. So every Christmas, when I put them up, she is in my heart and in my belly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And she taught me a lot.
Oh,
how
fantastic.
to be there, just as humans.
Mm. Yeah. Mm. So fantastic. don't forget your Blanche or whoever your first patient was, because they connect you with what you are doing, because people will support what they help to create. And just on there, you've got some 10 principles that I'm not going to go through now, but that will, help you in terms of leading like an activist. So what would you do if you knew that you could not fail? What would you do? Would you jump? That is the question. So I was going to take us 1 minute, if you would just allow me 1 minute, which is you have on your table some little figures that look like this. I'm just going to ask you to do 2 things for me. I'm going to ask you on one side to write, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? Not what is the biggest challenge that you have. What are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? What do you want to make a difference about? What do you want to change? What are you fighting for? Because when you ask what you're fighting for, it kind of gives you that fire in your belly. And it's not a fight that you're, going to physically fight with somebody else, but it's the fire in the belly for what you're fighting for. What is intolerable to you that you're fighting for? So that's on one side. And take your time. If you can't think of something right now, that's okay. On the other side, it says, right now, take a moment to define the first steps that you must take to achieve your goal. What can you do today to move forward? So think about what are you fighting for, and on the other side, what is the first step that you can take to take that goal forward, or what you're fighting for forward? Yeah? And that's it. We've come to an end, but before we kind of just close this session, I just wondered if one person would share with us, what are you fighting for, and what's the one step that you're going to take? You might have written it already. Some of you might take a little bit more time, that's absolutely fine. But if one person could just share with us, what are you fighting for, and what step are you going to take? Because this is the test. Are we really going to put our actions where our, what's the saying? put your mouth where you've put your, I can't remember what it is. But anybody, if you could just share with us. So the first thing is, what's intolerable to you? What are you fighting for? And what is the first step that you would take? Just one person? Very, very quickly. Do you need more time? Yeah, need more time. Have you, that lady over there? Some? No? Nobody's looking, nobody's giving me eye contact now. Yeah, okay, let's go for it. This lady here.
I have always wanted to improve for dialysis patients their catheter or their fistula that you work with, that they are much better than that they are at the moment, because it's very crucial for those people that it works, and a big part of them don't work as well. So the first step must be to get those who makes them to speak with those who makes them and see what is the problem. That's the first step, and then work from there, because sometimes it's a bit difficult to even get contact with them.
And is that something that you're going to do?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to say, as I kind of leave the stage, just that I just wish every single one of you, you know, the fire in the belly. And I wish that you take, and I hope that you take that fire in your belly and you take action now. Because if not now, when? You're the ones, we are the people, we're the generation, we need to act now. And I'd just like to thank you for being so inspirational to me and to being so such a lively group. I'm going to have to leave around about 12:30, but it's been an absolute pleasure being with you and just discussing and sharing with you. So just thank you very much. And it's been great working with you, and I hope that we work together again. Thank you.